Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at two maps. One of them is Monster Jam Oakland 2013 Freestyle. The other one is Monster Jam Oakland 2013 Racing. We're going to start with the Freestyle, then we'll move on to the Racing version. And the most logical vehicle to use here is a monster truck, and I do have one available. So we're going to go and spawn it up, and then go as fast as we can over that first jump right there. So we're going to only hit about 30 miles per hour. And then the landing, super smooth, because the monster truck makes pretty much any jump look super smooth. But it also makes any corner look like a hairpin as I struggle to just round that corner. So another jump, huge jump actually. I heard a little bit of a banging noise as we landed, but I could still drive it. So those are the advantages and disadvantages of a monster truck. And in this situation, I really like having the advantages. So we can try to go over this partially crushed RV right here. And that's close enough. I kind of went up on my rear wheels and almost rolled over, though. I had to let up on the gas, but I made it safely. And right here, we gotta go a little bit slower because there's a wall right after this. So just nice and careful. Whoa. The magic monster truck suspension, though, doing its job, making sure we still land upright somehow, even with an ugly landing like that. And I'm pretty sure at this point in time it's damaged. But that's not stopping it. It is putting up a fight, making sure it lands easy. Like that right there. That was an ugly jump. And it still pulls it upright somehow. I don't know how it does it. It's magical. No way. No way. What? Like, that wasn't even a roll and a bounce. That was, I hit the car almost at a 90-degree angle with the ground, and it somehow leveled itself out. That is a beautiful suspension setup right there. So here we go. Another jump. I want to just keep going until this thing breaks or flips or something, but it's looking unstoppable. Okay, whoa, that's a little messed up right there. That's suspension. The left side is fully compressed, and then the right side seems to be fully extended. Yeah, that looks super wacky. Well, that's probably going to make it much harder for it to stay upright. Very valiant effort, but the scores would be low because I didn't do anything super dramatic. So you know what? We're going to respawn this thing and then get it to fly a little bit. And it's kind of unfortunate. It seems like the only way to really get it to fly on this map would be to fly it into the stands, because there's not enough room to make it fly from that direction. But from this direction, we have a ton of room to get up to speed. If we wanted even more speed, we could go into this tunnel. I have no plans of doing that. I was just using the tunnel to stop before I slammed into the wall. So we're going to go and just try to get this thing backed up basically to the tunnel. If I happen to line up with it, we can back into it. But that's a little bit difficult because of how terrible this thing's turning radius is. And actually, I did line that up. So hey, we will make use of this tunnel. No problem. And by the way, I looked at where the tunnel goes. It's really not meant to be driven in, as you could tell kind of when you're in the camera angle. You see everything around you instead of actually in the tunnel. And it just kind of leads to nothingness. So we're not going to drive any more into it because it's not really meant to be driven into, like I said. It's just there for details. Anyways, what I wanted to do, full speed ahead. That's a 60-mile-per-hour jump, and oh my goodness, was that smooth. That was so smooth. I guess I hit the wrong part of the jump right there. Good news is, I saved the reset point, so we could just respawn back up here, and we're going to try this again. This time, we're going to go off to the left and try hitting it there and seeing if that'll actually pop us into the air a little bit more. So here we go, up! And now that is how you fly. Now, can we actually land that? We probably could have had that actual landing, but I'll take the flip. That looks even more dramatic than if I did a smooth landing. And then, because it would take too long to turn around, we could go in reverse and hit the RV, and that's actually hitting it and not jumping it. So I think that's a pretty good example of what you're supposed to do here, but I am curious how some other vehicles will perform, one of which is the ETK 6000 and 4000 series. We're going to use a 6000 here, so we're going to get the 6200 Rally, which is technically a 6000, it's just a 6000 plus. And then we got to flip it over because it's upside down. And this thing looks cool. It wasn't available when I made the video for this mod, so I was kind of wanting to have a reason to use it. And this is reason enough. Now, how does it do with something like this? Well, surprisingly well. Like, that thing got whacked right in the suspension, and it seems like it's just driving along perfectly fine. So here we go, another, ooh, that wasn't so good. That one I basically just bottomed out, but I lost the front bumper that was causing the bottoming out, so maybe this time we'll be able to make the jump. Here we go. Nah, that one, it cannot quite do. All I'm doing is just destroying the front of this thing. But it is durable. Like, crash after crash, and it just keeps wanting to drive. There's a little bit of a jump, but not really. And I think I made everything worse because the front is hanging down so much. So you know what? We should just stick to this section right here, because these, it can actually do, because those have nice, smooth transitions from the regular ground upwards. Like, the engine is just hanging out right here. Eventually, it's bound to fall out and the car is going to break down. But so far, it's still driving. Very poorly, though. It's skidding. You know what? Let's just get a new one so that way we don't have to worry about that. And we're going to try this one more time with a fresh one, see if it works. A little bit better that time, actually. It did crash into it, but more importantly, it cleared it, which it did not do before. So doing that, I mean, you hear it. It's making a crashing noise, but it's looking dramatic and it's clearing the obstacles, which is really the key here. If it's ruined at the end, it doesn't matter. It did a 2-minute run and it got a score, and that score would hopefully be better than the monster truck, and they would win. Because that thing does look cooler than the monster truck, if you ask me. I mean, it has 6 wheels. How can you not love that? Next thing I wanted to try is the DW Rock Bouncer, which is another vehicle I made a video for in the past. This one is a totally different vehicle that I think could work here, no problem. We're going to see what happens, though. It doesn't have the most durable suspension, so I have to be pretty careful on the way I hit these jumps, and it's a very loud vehicle. I'm noticing as I drive it, I almost feel like I gotta yell compared to the other vehicles. So I want to try jumping over some vehicles here. This is the harder direction to jump it. I was using the easier one with the other guy, and we actually were able to clear that, but we were not able to land upright immediately. We were able to land upright eventually. Front suspension is ruined, though. I'm trying to steer like left and right, and it does absolutely nothing, so we're just gonna get a new one and keep on going. So I'm actually got to go pretty slow on these things because it pops itself into the air nice and easily the way the suspension goes up things. You don't lose a lot of momentum, so you go still like, 30 miles per hour right there, and you pop into the air and you land on your back. That would be painful if you're in the car because it's just a sudden stop of momentum right into your head. That was amazing. That was also really bad driving, but it was amazing what the vehicle itself did. So like if we hit this, maybe like 20 miles per hour, it should be pretty smooth, I would think. So like, whoop. There we go. That was nice and smooth. Not dramatic or anything, but smooth. Because this one, you can't really do the dramatic jumps because it gets damaged way too easily. So like right here, got to keep it smooth. Pretty smooth right there. Smooth enough to make sure we got no damage. And it does have a better turning radius than a monster truck, that's for sure. We can actually go around these corners some. The last jump, going a little bit faster on that one. Too fast, actually. And that has basically ruined the vehicle. So now let's go ahead and move over to the next map since you basically saw everything in this one. And we can zoom out so you can see there's nothing around the borders. But when you're in here, you feel like you're in a pretty full environment because the stadium is so nice and large. Anyways, next one is the Monster Jam Oakland 2013 Racing Arena. And once again, the most logical vehicle is a monster truck, so we're going to start with that. And I actually looked up footage online when this event took place to find the exact path they took on the race course, and I do know what it is, so we're going to try to line up the truck for that, but we have to do a 180, which is not easy with this thing. Like, this thing with its terrible turning radius is going to do pretty awful on the actual race course, but I'm going to try to make it happen with a little bit of help from a manual transmission. Well, an automatic transmission that I shift, because if I tried to do this just in drive, we would have some issues, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. But right here is about where they started, so we're going to save this spot. And if we were to do this completely in drive, this is kind of how it would look. First, you start off pretty easy right here. You land on the ground, then you go full steering to the left, and then you just try to go maybe 15 miles per hour, and you see you got to go really slow not to hit anything on the side, and then you can accelerate off of it. And I found a little bit of a trick you can do to make it a little bit easier, though. So what you do is you go into gear, and you accelerate, and then you pop it into reverse to try to like get the car to steer in a little bit, and then go back into drive. It might technically be a little bit slower, but it's a lot more exciting because you get a little bit of some sliding going on, and it just looks 10 times cooler. And this is the exact course they took when they did this event right here that I'm trying to show you to the best of my abilities. And just doing that little slide right there makes it look so much cooler to me. And that would be the end, except I kind of went in the middle of the course, which might be grounds for disqualification. And you'll have probably noticed that you actually can drive straight through these barriers. In the real event, they were actually just using normal cars placed there, but in the mod, you have some barriers that you can completely drive through, which in a way makes sense because for monster trucks, a car is barely an obstacle. Those things will pretty much drive right over them. So if you had a barrier that you would crash into, you really couldn't do what they did with the monster trucks. And of course, you could also treat this thing like a stunt arena if you wanted to, if you just wanted to drive around. I mean, this one has nice clean jumps, so you could really get into the air well, and they're pretty easy to land. Even with a bad start like that, the monster truck is once again able to clean it up nice and easy. Right there, you see just how bad the training radius can get. I'm kind of curious if we could do this with a more normal vehicle, and I say more normal because a monster truck is a crazy extreme. The vehicle we're going to be using here is going to be the D35 Pig version of the D series. And I'd be willing to bet if I can complete the course with this vehicle, I will have a faster time than I had with the monster truck, even though I wasn't even timing the monster truck. Now in Monster Jam, the way they do things is they start 2 cars off simultaneously, and you're driving in the same location, but you have a different course that's usually pretty much identical. So on the other one, we went to the left. This time we're going to the right. And right here, we got to go through that, and then we got to steer in right here. And this thing is a little top heavy, so we do have to slow down a lot more than you would think. Because if I went fast through there, we'd probably tip over. We can accelerate out and go to the finish with that much, much tighter steering radius. Now the AI, they don't understand the concept of a course whatsoever. They would not be able to do that, unfortunately. You have to do all the work there. And overall, not a bad attempt for that vehicle, but I bet the ETK 6200 Rally would do even better. And we have some color choices here. I'm kind of curious what that would do to this one with the skin, so let's just go ahead and try that out here. Doesn't affect it. I was wondering if we get like a red and green kind of look, but nope, we get the same one as before. So if we were doing this course with this will probably be the fastest because I have no fears just chucking this thing into a corner. Because it won't tip over. It has a really low center of gravity, surprisingly. You would think this thing would be pretty top heavy, but look, I can just slide this thing around and it holds super level, amazingly. And it doesn't even have that much ground clearance yet. Going over these jumps, it does a pretty good job of it. That was perfect. And then the jump, and this one actually has a rougher landing than the other one I just noticed. It's not symmetrical. The other one has a nice clean landing that this thing would have done perfect on. That one has a really rough one, so I'll show you what I mean. So let's say we were coming at it from the other angle. Yeah, excuse the driving straight to the barrier. If we slide in real tight right here, well, I didn't do that at all. Let's say we came into this like that. We hit that jump and then smooth landing, don't flip over. The other one we flipped over super hard. Anyways, I think that will do it for this video. Until next time, this has been WhyBeAre. I'll see ya.